But I would say, like, from a reason, I found this kind of a common topic or common thread, which sounds like you want to follow other people's preferences rather than yours to reach some kind of a goal of, like, I don't know, meeting people, meeting whatever. You said, like, you would go to a volleyball game, for example, right? Even though you don't like it. But have you tried finding people who would like doing whatever you like doing? Like, have you tried focusing on what you really want from life, what you really want from yourself, what you really want from others? And once you go there, you'll also find people who are, like, also interested in the same things.
No, I absolutely agree with that. I did do that before the pandemic, but when I just want to go on to that point, like when I first moved to SF, I joined a bunch of dance classes, like improv classes, and then piano classes, all the things I really wanted to do. But when pandemic happened, everything was taken away, and so I had to do things that I didn't want to do because there was no other options. Like when all those friends left, it was either complete solitary confinement or go to volleyball. And so it just, like, I think that was like a state of desperation.
So you said, for example, improv classes, right? Then you could have tried finding people who struggle without improv classes just like you. For example, online. Just go into some online community where people who struggle to find improv groups because COVID was closed just rant about it. Like, well, it's so sad that we cannot go to improv places. Then you meet people online and just take it from there because you have some shared grievance.
No, that's absolutely one way to make friends, and I had people from my improv classes, but I just prefer IRL. I don't know. I feel like that's. Yeah, I just really want. I just like thrive a lot from in-person connection, especially as a new person in the city. I feel like I sound like okay. Also, random fun fact. I'm trying to sound more like a valley girl for fun, just to see how it goes with my vibe. But I also wonder if it takes away from like my speaking. Just like, wow, she sounds so dumb. It's like, this is dumb valley girl. But I'm not actually a valley girl. I'm just a fake. On tap.
Yeah. Oh. And the question: how much of what you're saying is real, and how much of it is like you playing the valley girl?
No, it's still real. Just the valley girl, just for fun. I hope. Maybe actually it's a different personality now.
Okay, it's just more of a vibes thing than like choosing exactly what you're saying.
But vibes becomes personality, and vibes gets people to emit different parts of their personalities too, and then you just get a whole ass new personality. But let's go back a couple of points. Before we got to Valley Girls, we got to making friends, online friends. And then before online friends, so I'm trying to like trace this back in my mind too. Before online friends, we're talking about do you remember what we were talking about? Before online.
Yeah, it was about that. You said that you liked improv classes, for example, right? And you liked people from improv classes, but because of COVID, things were not happening anymore. I said you could have tried to find people who are struggling with the same thing. That improv classes don't exist anymore, so that kind of people. And you said that your preference is to meet people in real life. So my question would be then, would you prefer meeting somebody in real life at the event you don't like, and likely the person will be like, I don't know, a fan of volleyball, for example, right? I mean, might have other interests as well, which might align with you. Or do you feel like you might adjust yourself to meet people online, for example, as a temporary measure during the COVID pandemic, like adapt to it and then like undo the adaptation once the pandemic is over? Today you would hear probably because I guess today improv classes are back.
So I can only answer from the experiences that I chose to have, and from those IRL experiences, I ended up meeting very compassionate people from volleyball, even though I didn't like volleyball, who just wanted to like be and who just want to hang out. Like there was one person who said, "I think you're cool. I want to introduce you to my friend group," and then I found a whole new community through that friend and like friend. And so I think the path I chose was actually worked for me. And the reason I chose IRL was because I guess that is more emotionally stimulating for me. And I guess I also want to find a long-term partner, and I want to find one IRL, and I wasn't sure how long pandemic would last. Like my thought was like either 2 to 10 years when it began, and I didn't know because vaccines take about 8 years, and I was thinking I knew it was gonna be much faster than 8 years. Like I felt very confident about that, but I wasn't sure. I didn't want to lose my entire 20s to never finding a partner IRL.
Yeah, I know that COVID made it really difficult for people to meet others, and there's an actually on our piece on the play dedicated to this topic. Yeah, there's like a thing where like you press the buttons and answer different questions, including like how isolated were you during COVID, and just like shoots like beams into different places in the earth and shows in which cities people were more or less likely to report the same thing as you. And there's like a house like this in the plan. Just so today. Back to the topic. Yeah, it seems like COVID was a kind of like one-off situation in which you had to like adjust your preferences, like go to different events or whatever. I think it's over now, so I mean you can go back to doing things that you really like, things that you really want. And I think it begs the question: do you feel you really know what you want in life?
Since I was very young, I knew like that I really since I was very young, I wanted to have kids, and I wanted to raise them well, and that's like big common theme. And I think almost all the things that I've done are to make myself the best version of myself, so that I'm in a good state to find like a great partner, and then we can raise kids, and then blah blah blah. And so I think that's a common thing, and I'm just trying to follow that. Yeah.
How much of what you think you want from life comes from you actually wanting it versus being programmed by parents, society, and some like earlier experiences? Because as kids, we get programmed to follow some road, like we just like get thrown like in some direction, and eventually we have ability to change our course.
Yeah.
So the question is like, how much of it you feel it's coming from inside of you? How much of it
is your choice, Tanzeela?
Yeah.
How much of this is your choice?
Your own choice, yeah.
I don't know, but I do know that I'm pretty confident that I'm very affected by my environment. A lot of people have said few of my closest friends have said I'm like the most adjustable person they know. And so maybe I was just easily programmed as when I was young that I need to go to college, and that I need to like have a partner. And I've since then followed that programming since I was very young. But I also don't think that's a bad thing.
Do you think you will be happy by following somebody else's program versus doing what you really want?
If I don't think too hard about it.
Do you think it will require you to become less smart than you are right now?
Why would you say that?
Well, because you just said that you could possibly be happy if you like ignore it, right? Like, so like, if you like, I don't know, if you do a bunch of like nitrous with ketamine, you probably will, you might be able to kill enough brain cells so that you could just follow some program without actually thinking about it, right? But as time passes, you will probably analyze things more and more in more detail, and you will have much better visibility of which parts of your psyche were like pre-programmed, which ones are yours.
Why would? Okay, so this is a super new druggy question. Like, why would killing off my brain cells give me more visibility?
No, it's the opposite. Yeah. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying that like what you basically just said is that my question was like, would you be happy if you follow somebody else's program versus what you really want? And the answer was
my answer was I forgot something about if I don't think too hard about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which means that it's smart about it, right? Basically, allowing yourself to dump this part of thinking which analyzes what you really want to know. That's why I refer to killing brain cells. So like, well, if you kill that brain cells, then you will not be able to think about it, right?
Do you think that we need to? Do you think that we need to analyze everything about ourselves to know what we want? How deep do we need to go into ourselves? I guess yeah.
The question is, do you want to be happy in life? Because if you don't want to be happy in life, then yeah, you don't want to analyze what you want because you wouldn't care. You could like, yeah, I can suffer. It's fine.
I want my kids to be happy.
But do you want yourself to be happy? That's the question.
I want to be at a sustainable rate of happy, that my kids are happy. But I don't actually care that much about my long-term happiness. I just want to make sure they're happy.
But why would you prioritize somebody else's happiness over yours?
It just feels more fulfilling without me thinking about it. But because I could go and deeply analyze why, but I assume it's the evolutionary part of my genes that wants to have kids.
I wouldn't say it's just evolution. It's also we all have rational thinking which we can apply to overcome evolutionary instincts. So on one hand, yes, I think you might have been programmed, but is it evolution or just being programmed as a child by your parents and society, right? Like, is it genes or is it culture? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Talk to the mic, please. Dr. Chavez, you need to talk to the mic.
So Schopenhauer used to say that the humanity is still going on due to lubricity, because let's say at the first ages, the people who were more keen on having sex with other used to have more kids than the other one, and by these things there were a selection of people who like to have sex and have kids. That's the real things. That's the real selection.
Yeah, the hornier people were winning the game.
Exactly. So now that we control the natality is a bit different. But before that, it was like a big means of selection. And to respond for happiness, there is a bit paradox about that. I feel that that's a goal to be happy, but it means if it's a goal to be happy, that you're not happy by default. So I would rather set an intention not to be unhappy at first, and then happiness most of the time comes just by itself.
This
is not the goal.
Where we get to eugenics, ladies and gentlemen. Continue us. Please keep speaking.
About eugenic?
What's your thoughts on selection?
You mean about what? The happiness or the
Let's try selection for happiness.
Yeah, it's also the things. If people commit suicide, they're not able to have kids, and if they're depressed, they're not. They won't have kids. So that's a trend now, not to have kids, because people say, oh, due to the ecological crisis and so on, it's better not to have kids. But I feel was exactly the same before. When half of the population of Europe disappeared due to the pest, so the one where let's keep going on and having kids survived. Same when they're like big migration. Some people say, "Oh, it's impossible to be adapt to this territory," so they disappear, and other didn't. So yeah, in a way, the future man will be more orny and happy, maybe.
Brilliant, Dr. Chinilas. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone want to add?
We'll continue our panel. Barrel still lives in its NFTs. Slutty Microphone 759F Dr. Out.
Go for it. Do you feel like you know what you really want? Wait, also what's your DJ name?
What did I say?
Do you feel like you know what you really want, and what's your DJ name?
DJ name? That's a good question. I don't know what I want my DJ name to be, but I think it took me a while to figure out what I really want versus what I was programmed to want. And yeah, I don't know exactly what I want at this point, but it took many years to get there, and it was a deliberate effort at some point. After realizing that there is a big difference between what I think I want versus what I really want.
So, Dr. Arthur, you say you were programmed by someone to do certain things. Can you elaborate on that thought, please? When did you become aware of your programming?
I would say it happened after I turned 30. Before that, it was pretty set course. It was like, you go to school, then you go to university, then you land a job, then you keep getting better and better jobs, then you keep making more and more money, and, house, family, and stuff like that. And then you're like, wait a minute, what's the point of my existence? Like, what's the meaning of my life, right? Why do I exist? What really makes me happy, right? And then once you start thinking about it, you start realizing that, well, just following the program will not make you happy. And the later you realize this in life, the bigger will be the trauma and the shock of this realization. Lots of people realize this when they're like 60. They're like, oh shit, all of my life I was doing something that I didn't really want to do. And it's sad when you cannot change it, right? Like you're like 60 and you're like, oh fuck, I just missed my opportunity to be someone I really wanted to be. And so yeah, I think that's the important point here. But otherwise, some people just live all their lives just following the program. They don't mind it, but I don't think they understand what makes them unhappy then. At some point, they just start, drinking a lot, getting some other addictions or getting depressed without even understanding where it comes from. So I think it's important to be able to analyze yourself whenever you kind of lose your baseline level of happiness or whatever, what is really causing it. Because without that, you will be just trying to throw things on top of it, be it money, be it drugs, be it whatever the fuck you can find to try to cope with the situation instead of fixing it at the root.
What happened? What was the changing moment at 30 where you, or in your 30s, where you realized you wanted to figure out what mattered to you? Was it because you accomplished so many things and you were bored, or what was it?
I think there are two layers to this. One is that when I was young, one of the programs I was given, which is interesting, one of the programs I was given by my dad was that as a kid, when I was a kid, I was 7, 8 years old. He would often ask me what I think my meaning of life is. And he was kind of like, hey, you need to figure out what is really meaningful to you in life. Because if you don't, then why the fuck you couldn't exist? So it was kind of interesting thing to hear as a kid without really understanding the whole complexity behind this statement. But it was really helpful because it definitely programmed me to like search the meaning of life early on. And what I realized is that there is short-term and long-term meaning, right? And short-term is just to be, not just to be happy, but kind of have this kind of fundamental content, the feeling of like, yeah, I'm having fun, right? And that's, for example, why I'm having fun here. Does it really advance my longer term goals? I don't know, But sometimes you just want to read a nice book, just watch a nice movie, do whatever, just that feels great, and that doesn't really affect your long-term goal. That's half of the meaning of life. The other half of the meaning of life is like long-term goals. It's like what your life you think should be like in terms of like what you want to achieve. How do you want to change the world? For me, it's always been important to be able to affect the world in a kind of scalable way, so that just my own contribution would change lives of like billions of people, right? Like in a way that I feel is meaningful to me and them at the same time. And so for me, it started with like back tracing of like, well, let's just look at what is the furthest future that we can possibly imagine. And let's say it's just hit death of the universe, right? It's like just the universe might cease to exist at some point, together with everything in it, all the planets, all the stars. We don't know if that's true. If it never ceases to exist, it's fine. No problem. If it ceases to exist eventually, then the challenge that these beings that are still sentient beings that still exist just before the end of the universe would have would be how to evade this event, how to continue existing even though the universe is just breaking apart, right? And so to get there, you just need to continue living, and that's I think where evolution comes to play. It's like, well, what you really want is for humans to continue existing, maybe then becoming like uniplanetary organism, whatever, and then maybe joining with other planets and like go growing in complexity, and then eventually survive until the end of the universe, and then figure out a way to escape maybe to a different universe or whatever. And then from there you can like backtrack into like what you can do to help to facilitate this process. For example, one goal would be like, well, I really don't want humanity to kill the planet it lives on, right? There could be other things. But I think it's important to have two sides to like meaning of life. One would be like immediate happiness today, and the other one is well your course. Where is it heading to? Like, is it heading towards some goal that you feel is meaningful to you longer term or not? And I think you're sleeping.
Yes, I'm partially sleeping, so I might have to dip out of the Barrelside chat. Thank you so much, Dr. Archer, for this combo of Slutty Microphone.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tanzeela. And yeah, I think at least my talk really helped you to fall asleep. This is good. It's working. Come play some music. I think we got our MC back. Hello. How was the burn? How was the day? Okay, it was amazing.
No, I went out at like 2.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I think we left around 3.
Huh?
We left around 3.